With more and more battery electric and plug-in hybrid cars on the road than ever before, existing vehicle charging infrastructure is coming under increased demand. For charging infrastructure providers, increased custom isn't necessarily a bad thing. After all, the more customers use charging stations, the better, especially if access is being billed to the customer by the hour or kilowatt hour. And that, hopefully, can lead to profitability for charging networks who've to date have generally struggled to turn a profit due to the high cost of charging infrastructure equipment, the overheads associated with billing and maintenance, and low charging station use. For electric car users, meanwhile, the side effects of this are obvious and often unwelcome. While there are far more public charging stations today than there were a few years ago, there is more chance today that you'll find yourself waiting in a queue to charge, especially in high traffic areas along major routes. Alongside that rise in demand and more people owning plug-in vehicles, we're starting to see a rise in bad behaviour at charging stations, from electric car owners parking their vehicles at charging stations but not actually using them, through to owners justifying their opinion that their own charging station access should be prioritised over others, or in fact leaving their cars parked and plugged in long after they finish charging. We're moving into an age where public charging station politics is a particularly thorny part of owning an electric or plug-in hybrid car. A thorny problem, in fact, that, just like other politics, needs some common sense and listening on all sides to solve, not with passive aggression, or God forbid, actual aggression, but with understanding, common sense, and a little kindness for your fellow plug-in owner. So it's with this in mind that I give you the Transport Evolved proposal to tackling abuse of electric car charging stations, something that I hope is applicable to new and old owners alike, be they plug-in hybrid or electric car owners, regardless of how far their car can travel on a charge or how much it costs to buy. And while I'm at it, it's worth remembering too that businesses that have electric vehicle charging infrastructure do need to engage in the process too, ensuring that any charging stations that have been installed on their property are functional, have appropriate signage, are fixed or replaced if broken, and are only parked in front of by those actively charging their car. While that might sound easy in practice, it's my experience that the way that charging stations are treated by a business, especially franchised ones or large chains such as supermarkets, really does depend on the attitude of the individual management at that store. While corporate support may be there, local support may not be, although that's a whole can of worms that I should perhaps save for another video. Which brings me nicely back to the ways that you, I, and every other plug-in car owner can do their bit to make sure that charging stations are not abused. The first tip is just common sense, but it's worth remembering. Use public charging infrastructure only when you really need to. If you can, charge up at home before long trips, and when you do need to make use of a public charging station, charge up enough so that you can confidently reach your destination without range anxiety, rather than just charging to full just because. And if you've got a plug-in hybrid, consider either relying on your range extended engine or charge only when the station is free, keeping a close eye on the station and your car so that you can free up the station if someone in an electric-only vehicle comes along. Second, if you leave your car at a public charging station, be sure to keep a close eye on your car's state of charge, either by regularly returning to check on the car or by using the remote monitoring facility of your car's smartphone app. When your car has enough charge or has finished charging, go back and move it. Don't just leave it sitting there, blocking others from using the station. And if you're feeling super helpful, why not leave a note on the windscreen that lets other owners know where you'll be or how to contact you if they need to plug in before you're back. Third, remember that the final few percent of charging always takes far longer, especially if you're plugged into a quick charging station or a supercharger. At the same time, those final few percent represent very little additional range gain, so it's best to unplug and move on at that point than it is to stay until the bitter end of the charging cycle. And if that doesn't convince you, remember that rapid charging near full also puts your car's battery pack under unnecessary stress. Fourth, be nice to other plug-in station users. If someone arrives while you're near the end of your charging cycle, offer to end it early so that they can get their car on charge. Or if you really need the extra charging, switch your car to a slower charging station to maximize rapid charging efficiency and avoid the problems I just outlined in tip number 3. Fifth, Be the advocate. Help new owners out at charging stations, explain how the stations work to curious passers-by, and if someone happens to park up in a non-plug-in car, politely ask them to move without becoming aggressive or overbearing. While you'll always encounter the odd dick, my own experience is that if you're polite and friendly, those who are doing something they shouldn't will generally apologize and move on. Be a dick, and they'll be one too, especially if you treat it like your own personal fueling station. Finally, be proactive about reporting charging station faults or issues. If the charging station is attached to a business, tell that business about it and then ring up the charging station provider too. And if you can, use an app like PlugShare to let other local users know that there's an issue with that station as well. That way, you'll help other folks from having issues and you'll hopefully expedite a repair. That's it. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to hear the moment a new show is uploaded, and click on the Patreon link at the end of this video or in the description below if you want to help me make more of these videos. Until next time, keep evolving.